Good afternoon. Hi all. Namaste. I said we've got the wave of the Nityananda crapola coming yet again. And so what the heck is he up to this time that they want to go on the rant again? So I decided to look and see what he's up to. Introduction to Sada Shivoham in 2016 question and answers. Well, as in the usual thing, you can only get through a couple minutes of his crap. Yes, I said crap before you just go, you know. So what is he saying? He's talking about, his usual, and this is what they do. This drives me nuts. These phony, baloney, fake gurus. And he's good, though. He takes something from all of them. Okay, he does the apporting, that he got, and he watched that. And then the double speak, the round robin speak that goes nowhere and says nothing, that sounds so deep you can't understand it, but it's bullshit. It's saying nothing. Okay? And then he's got the last one. These are the Osho and all TM, all of these gurus that just absolute crap, yet they get a lot of people because they're, giving stories, talking in doublespeak, doing the apporting, the little sleight of hand magic, and people get taken in by this crap. Well, his Sada Shivoham, he says the same thing over and over and over and over about 4 or 5 times, exactly the same thing. Okay? And they're all just, what does he say? Oh, it's so fabulous, so fabulous, oh! And it's crap. I'm sorry, it's crap. So let me share the latest Sada Shivoham in a nutshell. Okay? What's he say? That the dream state, when you're awake, you have 100 different identifications going on. Your identification with your husband, your identification, this story, this story, this story, this story, this story. You might as well say all these stories. But in the dream state, you only have 10. That's why it's so unusual. When you're sleeping and then you realize those 10 have gone out and you pull them back and you wake up. He says that 4 times. In the dream state. In the dream state. In the dream state. Okay, we've gone through that rigmarole 4 times, okay? Then he goes on to the next part. And in the awakened state, when you're awake, you have the 100 things. But then in the higher self, there are 1,000 things. 1,000 things, 1,000 different identifications. Oh, great. So that little ego, it's less in the dream state, more in the normal awaken. And then if you go on to realization, there are 1,000 identifications. And that's the awakened state. When you pull all those back, that 1,000 different identifications, then you're awakened. Now, if that's not the furthest thing from the truth, I don't know what is. And I was just talking with Siddhananda about this. If you want to be a fake guru, if I wanted to grow and have a big following, I'll tell you how it's done. What you do is you create a great big backstory line, which he's done. with his big thing of how he became a Paramahamsa and his thing and his journey in the Himalayas. And he did this meditation and they came to him to be a guru. They came to him in his dream state and told him to be a guru. Okay, so he's got a big backstory. What you do is you put on a big show. Okay, he does the show. He likes to dress up as Shiva. He dresses up as, he's dressed up as everything, okay? You do big dress up, and then you feed the ego. And that's what he does with these people. He feeds their ego. You tell him you're the most fabulous thing. Not only have you got 100 different identifications, now we're going to give you, 900 more. And let me help teach you how to have 900 more identifications. You are this fabulous ego that's going to become God. Okay? Not that these identifications go. No, you're going to create more. And I'm going to tell you how to be more special. Like I told Siddhananda, if I had a group of people and I told them, I tell you what you need to do. This is very secret. I'm going to teach you this course on how to be purified. Okay? It's only going to cost you $1,500 for the secret of purification. Not everybody gets this, and you have to be quiet about it. You can't tell anyone else because this is very secret. Very, very secret, okay? And we're very special. We've got that purity that's coming that the rest of humanity doesn't have. This is only given to us, so you can't give it out. So for $1,500, I'm going to tell you how to purify yourself. Now, what you have to do, you have to wear white, and it has to be on a full moon night, and you have to go out and bathe by the light of the moon and wear white. Okay? And you have to sit in a specific area, okay, by the light of the full moon. Can only be done in the full moon if you want full purification. You can't do it any other time. It's got to be the full moon. Okay? Okay. You give them that. Okay. Another week, another 2 weeks. I tell you what we're going to do. I can tell you how to make money. I'm going to tell you how to make money. You have to wear the specific gem for that. I've got them for sale over there. They've all been looked at. They're all, we make sure they are absolutely top quality. And then you have to have this gem and you have to do X amount of things with it and then it will work. Okay? Next week, what's he say? Kundalini is the luxury. It's the luxury when you wake up. You have that energy in you and it's so luxurious. The luxury Kundalini energy. Luxury. Now, obviously, this fool knows nothing about Kundalini because Kundalini is the rotor-rooter of consciousness. Goes through all the levels, the layers, and extracts, and then brings up all these things for one to look at and go through and experience, and then to dispel and go beyond. It's not some luxurious thing. But he's going to tell them how to have this luxurious, luxury Kundalini experience. And teach them how to have a pranic surge and convince them that they've actually got a Kundalini awakening that they can control. They are in charge. They're large and in charge. Okay? So if you want to have a following, that's what you do. Every week, every 2 weeks, every 3 weeks, every month, whatever, you put together a new course, something for them to do to keep him occupied. Some little fantasy storyline that you're going to give them to feed their egos. And those egos will eat it up. And they'll clap. Because they're the only ones on the planet that have this very special information and guidance. Nobody else has it. Okay? And that's how these guys get these sadhakas, keep them on the hook, keep extracting money from them. They keep playing the game, talking doublespeak that says nothing. Unbelievable. When you listen to them, if you are a genuine guru, it drives you crazy because they just keep saying the same thing endless ways in a circular motion that goes nowhere and says not much of anything. Yet they'll fill up an hour of continuing to repeat the same thing in as many ways as they can to implant that in the subconscious mind. And they will say it in a very metered voice. So they will be hypnotized into it. So they use these ways of hypnotism. Like you'll hear, he'll always say, he'll be talking like this, and it's always like this, and it's continue like this, and it doesn't change, and the meter is the same, and da 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 da. Until the brain shuts down out of boredom with hearing the same thing over and over and over again in the same metered tone, and nothing changes. It's very monotone, and this is the way to hypnotize your audience because it's just continued ba 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 ba. Okay? Your eyes are getting sleepy. Okay? Your eyelids are getting heavier and heavier. Okay? I can tell you what they're doing. I've watched these fools for so long, and it's always the same game plan. Now this one, like I said, he studied them, the psychology of Osho and his showmanship. Okay. TM, the doublespeak, the round robin that goes nowhere, says not much of anything, that keeps getting repeated endless times to make it sound like it's so fabulous. And the last one, the one with the apporting. Okay. That one was having sex with the boys. Nityananda happens to prefer women, although I wouldn't put it past him that he's also going with men, wherever he can get it, with his secret tantric things that have to be signed. I wouldn't doubt it's still going on, because they're the special ones. Very special, very special. Okay. You want to know how they get the followings? That's how. That's how. Very easy, very, very easy to create that type of a following. All you have to do is play to the egos of the people, keep feeding the ego, keep telling them how special they are. All you have to do is take this course and you become even more special. And if you take the next one, you become a higher special. Take the next one, it's a higher special. Of course, each one is going to cost you a little more because it's even deeper knowledge, deeper. It's very deep, very deep. Okay. Unbelievable. So rather than becoming less egotistical, they're becoming increasingly more and more and more and more. And this is why the Nityananda minion, ostrich minions, now I've got to come up with a new name for them today, the ostrich minions, because they've had their head in the sand. They don't see what's going on, but they all run around to do his bidding. The minions want to serve the most evil one they can find, you know. And basically what he does is he goes into these things, takes things out of context. This is not even something taken out of context. It's the biggest bunch of bullshit I've ever heard. Instead of getting to realization where things go back to that seed, no, he's going to expand and grow a big tree. Okay. The ego becomes more until it flowers into becoming the absolute. What a bunch and a load and a crock of shit. I'm sorry, yes, I said a crock of shit. It stinks to high heaven. This man has no clue what he's talking about. Okay? And like I said, you can listen to a couple of minutes of it. Watch his mindless devotees there that are in the spin, the bullshit, that he's, like I said, he's already said the same thing, like, 4, 5, 6 minutes of the same thing. Until the mind's ready to shut down because it's already heard it so many times. And they sit there clapping like, the most fabulous thing they've ever heard. And they think they're understanding something, and there's nothing to frigging understand because it makes no sense. No basis in reality at all. But that's okay. They create their own reality. They have their own very special little Nityananda world that they're living in, that he's creating for them. This little fantasy land that they live in. And that's why they can't give it up. They paid a lot of money to be part of this little fantasy journey. It's kind of like stepping into one of those games that they play online that people get so caught up in with fantasy characters. Okay? They become their own little fantasy character. Instead of playing an online game, they play it in the hall with Nityananda. Okay? And he's the little puppet master playing with all these little puppets. Okay? And I hope to God some of them wake up. But I just wanted to bring that today, How do they get these people? How do you become, if I wanted to create a big following, I know how to do that. But in order to do that, you have to create a fantasy for people. Feed their egos. Play a game. Okay? Give them something more and more and more that they can feed off of. Continue to tell them how very special they are. And how this is the only place on the planet to get it. Like I said, it's just absolutely drama-filled nonsense. If you want to know about realization, getting to the absolute, read Ramana. Read the Ashtavakra Gita. And you'll see the Ashtavakra Gita will be in direct conflict with what this moron is telling people. Okay? Because he's not going to realization. He's not taken to realization. He's just absolutely buying into more and more and more of the Dvaita world. He has no clue about Advaita. I want to give you more Dvaita, more Dvaita, more Dvaita, more Dvaita, more Dvaita. Okay? All Shakti, all more Dvaita. Continued Shakti, continue to grow, continue to expand, continue to give you third eye meditations where you can be out in the ozones and continue to create more and more realms of fantasy. Okay? And landing, endless realms. And this is why we don't do third eye meditations here, because we want to break through that, not have to travel to endless realms. People get stuck there and think that they've gotten something great, and all you find is a lot of people very ungrounded, very, very ungrounded, and they wind up usually being hospitalized because they wind up many times having psychotic breaks from that. So this is why I never give third eye meditations to my students. They stay heart-centered meditation with correct breathing, with correct grounding, how to move into finding that still place within, okay? Dispelling all of these things that want to keep expanding, creating, expanding, creating, expanding. Expansion, creation continues endlessly. If you want to get to realization, you have to go back to the seed state and find out what it is. Then you understand at that point creation, then you can go into the expansion. But if you want to do like this fool is trying to tell you, continue to expand, 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 you'll never get to realization. It's not going to happen. You gather and collect, gather and collect, gather and collect, gather and collect. Keep feeding that ego, feeding the ego, feeding the ego, till it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So full of itself that it doesn't know which way to turn anymore. Even more conflict, more confusion. Sounds good in the beginning, but you wind up with more conflict, more confusion eventually. Okay? That's why we don't do that here. If you want to know about how to manifest, all of those things are simple. One traverses them along the way. How to do manifestation, manifesting, how to, okay, those are lessons learned. One goes beyond manifesting and doing all of that drama, the New Age drama. New Age drama is way, 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 way down on the list that people traverse. That people traverse along the way, but you move through that. Hopefully rapidly you find out that that's not going to bring lasting peace or bring lasting anything. Okay, so eventually one gives up that type of happening. That, yeah. But no, those are things that one can go through, one can experience. But again, to what end? All they are is more ego-affirming in the end. That's all. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this here. But again, I just, you try to listen to his bullshit, and it's just so, goes nowhere, says nothing that's intelligent. And you watch these people sitting over there eating it up as if it's this precious pearl. It's not a pearl. It stinks to high heaven. It's a piece of shit. Okay? A pearl is something that comes out of hard-won tears and battle and difficulty. Okay? Sacrifice that one goes through. It's not some bullshit story that stinks to high heaven that one can pay and get along the way. Okay, if you like entertainment, okay, maybe he's entertaining, but I don't think his entertainment is worth the money he's charging for it. Just saying. Okay. But again, those that have ears to hear and eyes to see, if you watch him, you will see shades of Osho, of TM. You'll see shades of all of these ones that, big followings. All three of these had big followings, but they were all bullshit. Okay? All bullshit. Genuine gurus like Ramana, although he never claimed to be a guru, he had that wisdom, but he didn't want to take on watching people and basically giving them a lot of sadhanas to do. He did give them ways, but basically he walked his own path and he went in, and he didn't want to take on being a guru. He just gave that wisdom and what it is to live in realization and what remains. Okay? But he didn't want to take on the mantle of actually being a guru and working with them one-to-one in that way. Okay? Because really, the path to realization is one that you don't do with a big crowd of people. It's not the rah-rah club that most of these gurus are giving out. The rah-rah club that are going to give you a more inflated ego where you feel better about yourself. The path to realization is really a mystical, contemplative path that one has to do by themselves. There's a lot of prayer, a lot of meditation, a lot of surrender in it. It's not something you do in a big crowd of people. You want a big crowd of people, that's an entertainment, rah-rah club, how to feed the ego, how to feel a little better about yourself, and think you're getting and gathering and collecting. It's the opposite way. So when this fool talks about getting to the absolute and absolutely getting there by expanding, he's conning them. Okay? He's conning them 100%. And they, not knowing the difference between that type of path and a path and a way to realization, will buy into it hook, line, and sinker and be continuing to look for more. Because I don't care what course he sells them, they're not going to get there, and they're always going to feel that they're lacking in something. Oh, but I've gotten this, but I'm still, something's missing. So he'll keep them on the hook to keep selling and selling and selling, but they'll never get to genuine realization. Okay, it's not going to happen. Not possible with what he's teaching them. They may get ungrounded, because that's another thing that these ones will do. Cults, they'll give you a lot of carbohydrates. Okay, they'll feed you lots of carbs, no proteins, keep you up late, get you to where you're so broke down and tired. And this is a brainwashing technique. And then, again, circular talk that goes nowhere. It's brainwashing. Hypnotism and brainwashing. Okay? That's the truth of it. Hypnotism and brainwashing. And the people don't know they're being taken in. They don't know the difference between genuine experience and some manufactured fantasy that they're buying into and paying heavily for. Okay? So we'll leave this here for now. Lessons on Con Men Gurus. Namaste.